Hey guys, Chauncey Phillips here. Welcome to a brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shop video today. Today pretty much going to go out, see the kind of stuff that came out, see if there's any good deals on stuff. Also going to try and go to a couple of thrift stores, some of the ones that I go to in the one area. See if any of the stuff changes out, because I try and go to them, like, you know, in the videos I've been trying to go to certain ones like every month or so and giving like a break between them to get new stuff. So see if they have anything new there today. Also gonna have a couple reviews at the end of this video, so definitely just stay tuned for those. And we'll have my main DVD Blu-ray update this Saturday as well. So anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. Barbies. Yeah, so the main stuff that came out today was The Forest, which I actually like this movie. This had some really mixed opinions, but I thought this was kind of a creepy movie about the girl who goes to look for her sister in that forest in Japan, where people go, you know, the suicide forest. But this was actually a pretty creepy movie. And the other one today, I don't know too much about this one, is this Lawrence Fishburne, Thomas Jane movie called The Standoff. This isn't a huge release week today, but I know this is one of the other ones. If you guys have seen this one, let me know if this one's any, you know, good at all, worth checking out. But kind of sounds slightly interesting. But I think that's actually the main things today. But, you know, we'll see too at Walmart if they have any interesting stuff, you know, different. And there were a couple things on sale for like $13 here, like Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, The Longest Ride. So a lot of like Spy, Ex Machina. So I think these have like gone down a little bit in prices. But over here is kind of funny. They have this Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day Extreme Edition DVD. It looks like that really old edition. I think it's like a repackaged one of like the really old release from years back. Because it looks like a really old release one, but it's actually from 2015. But I've never seen this random release one. Like I said, it looks like that really old one from years back, like put into a new case. GD towing trucks right in front of my car. Look, I couldn't even get out of here now. Hopefully it doesn't take forever. Because look, they're like towing this thing out of here right in front of me. Into the Valley thrift store we go. I'm taking a look and see if there's anything else in here, if there's anything changed out. But usually a lot of the same stuff. But I found a couple out of print things in here randomly every so often. We'll see though if anything changed. Like, I don't know how often these places change things out. But a lot of times it's the same stuff for months on end. I always get kind of skeezed out going in there sometimes because all the employees are wearing those masks so they don't get sick, and it creeps me out, and then I get like, oh, I gotta get out of here now. So I'm just like getting out of there. Like that thing, when I see people wearing those masks, it gets me like paranoid about germs. As it is, I'm like the kind of person who's always washing my hands and stuff. And when I go in a place like that, when I see them all, like especially 3 different employees I saw wearing those masks, I'm like, oh, it's like terrible. I gotta get the hell out of there. It's not worth it for them in that place. Not to, you know, not when they're all wearing those. So it's like now I gotta, you know, douche the hands. Man. Into King's Pawn we go. Everyone always says you got to come inside of a pawn shop, so I'm in here looking through all these. They're in the case, so I have to kind of like look through them the best I can. So I'll see if there's anything interesting in here. That's a pretty weird one, Evil Enco, that Malcolm McDowell one. That's a pretty cool one. There's a bunch of, like, it seems like everything in here is $3, and then the Disney ones are $7, the Blu-rays are $6. So we'll see if I'll, show you when I get outside if I found anything or not. But like I said, I just got to look through these and see if there's anything interesting or out of print or anything in here. So we'll see if I can find anything. Yeah, nothing really too different in there. It's pretty much real common stuff. Like, there's a couple like random, like, the only horror they really had in there was like the Pumpkinhead movies. They like had every single one of the Pumpkinhead movies, like all the sequels and stuff. But that was like probably some of the only horror ones I saw in there. Into the St. Vincent de Paul thrift store we go. They have a whole bunch of VHS in here. There's some DVDs too, but a ton of VHS in here. I was in here a while back, but it's one of those other ones that I feel like probably doesn't change too often. It says everything's 50% off. I always remember this Honey, I Shrunk the Kids one that had that Roger Rabbit short at the beginning. It was always kind of cool when they did that in the beginning of these movies. They did that on that, I think on Batman, or the Batman had that opening of like the Warner Brothers thing. But look back in here and see if there's anything interesting in here. Because sometimes you never know, there can be. Other times, though, it's a lot of the same stuff. Like, you know what this is, Big Short's funeral. It's sort of all smushed up, but this looks like a very strange one. I did not know that movie at all. Big Short's funeral, and this Bridget Jones's Diary thing. This is like a UK. That's really weird. It's a UK VHS release of Bridget Jones's Diary, and it's got like a VHS tape, and then oh yeah, it looks like it's got the actual book. Yeah, the Bridget Jones's book inside of it. So that's a kind of a weird VHS release. I didn't even know they were doing these kind of like editions with. I don't remember a lot of like special edition VHSs that had like books and stuff. This was like more so that they started with DVDs. Now I gotta get it back in here. Everyone says, why do you have a hard time putting things back? Because I'm doing it with one hand, so I'll have to do it off the camera. But I'll look through it and see if there's anything interesting in here. We'll see. But like that, I do not know what this is. It's very strange looking, this. Into the Salvation Army we go. Well, I'm looking what's in here and stuff. It's like they got a bunch of these like random like DVDs. You don't know what they are, like DVD-Rs. These, like I always say, you never know what in the world could be on these things. I don't know if they've been used or they're empty. And I've been seeing all these UK releases of things today. Like there's a UK release here of The Karate Kid. It's like when the day of seeing it, we saw that Bridget Jones one. And you have some weird thing too. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, but it's like that weird movie, but it's like a weird, set of all like Santa movies. Joe Santa Claus, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. So that's like a weird set. This thing I had never seen, this BBC video one of like stuff with like men behaving badly, The Office, Red Dwarf. That's kind of an interesting kind of set in there. But it doesn't seem like there's anything that different in here. Like it's like kind of like messy, some of the stuff in here too, but nothing really different. Everyone always talks about Disney's Aladdin, but this is my favorite Aladdin. Like look at this, it's like a strange knockoff Good Times release of Aladdin. Like who knows, it's like a weird knockoff one. It's very strange. Into Walmart we go. I see a couple different things today. One thing I want to show is they have #horror here, but it's funny, they have a different, slipcover on it, which is actually kind of a more violent slipcover, which is kind of weird. Normally they kind of tone the covers down, because the original one, the main cover is this one you see everywhere, but their one, it seems like, I think it's only here is this. Normally you would think that the one underneath would be the one they would have, and then this one be too, gory for them to have. So it is kind of weird that, like, they kind of went the alternate route with this one. But another one that came out today, I think this was today or last week, was Exit 14, a Tom Sizemore movie, which I don't know too much about this one. Might be interesting, and I think this was today, Slender. I think it's on the Slender Man. I do not know much about this one. This might be kind of interesting. I don't know, like it looks like it could be interesting. I don't know if I'll get this one or not. Slender, He's Always Watching. And I don't know if there's any of these other ones that were today. This might have been today, this Little Prince one. And maybe Treasure State was today, I'm not sure though. Into Best Buy we go. I'll say these steelbooks for, Star Wars definitely were not very limited. I see like tons and tons of copies of these still left. It's so weird how like some steelbooks, people were saying in the comments too, and I noticed it as well, are so limited for certain things like Hateful Eight, and some of the things like that are really hard to get, Ant-Man. But then this one, there's so many copies of it. But it's definitely not a huge release weekend here at all. Like, there's really nothing else majorly different from last week. Like, really, like I showed, the only thing really today was that Standoff movie and The Forest. But other than that, there's really not too much else out that came out this week. That one movie, Slender Man, which I'll have to look more into that one. Looked kind of interesting, but it probably wouldn't be amazing, but it looked like it could be okay. But like I said, really just The Forest. And then the other one, that was pretty much it this week. Well, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video. Stay tuned now for some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And like I always say too, if you guys enjoy these videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. And the first one I got from Lionsgate is Flight 7500. Yes, this one now is finally out in the US. I remember seeing the trailer for this one in theaters a number of years back. It was originally going to have a theatrical release. Then it ended up getting delayed, and I didn't know what was going to happen because it kept on getting pushed around date-wise. But now it's finally got a US release. It came out a year or so back on Blu-ray in Germany, but now, like I said, we finally have a US release of this one. And the movie's from the director of the Grudge remake. And it's essentially like a Grudge-type film up on on a plane. It's a group of people who are traveling from Los Angeles to an international flight. you know, on an international flight to Japan. They go up there. This one guy ends up dying up there, and they move the body in the first class. And then they have this, you know, strange pressure drop on the plane. As soon as the pressure drop happens, they cannot get in any contact, you know, with ground control below. It's kind of got like that slight Langoliers vibe too, of like this dead sort of feeling up there when they're up there. They can't get in contact with anyone. They don't know what's happening, and then weird things start to happen to them when they're up there. You know, Scout Compton is in this movie, you know, from the Halloween remake and a number of different films. Amy Smart's in this movie, Leslie Bibb. But I actually thought this was a really pretty cool, creepy movie, and I like the idea. Like I said, it's all set on a plane, and like it's got that real Grudge kind of Asian horror vibe, but set on an airplane the entire time with them trying to figure out what's going on. It deals with like this weird, really strange item that they find up there. But I really like this, and I also thought too it had an interesting kind of payoff to what everything means. It was kind of, you know, I just thought it was really an interesting, cool film. I really like, and really, like I said, I'm glad that this finally has a U.S. release. It has on here, though, an Inside Flight 7500 featurette on the making of the movie. Definitely check that one out. Like I said, I'm so glad, too, that it finally has a U.S. release. The next one from Monarch. And this one is a Haley Joel Osment film called Sex Ed. I really was interested in watching this one. It has a ridiculous cover of him with the, you know, holding that banana. But it's basically Haley Joel Osment is, you know, trying to get a job as a teacher. He's having no luck, and he ends up getting a job to kind of teach this after-school program at this school. He's pretty much taking anything he can to finally get a job because he was a student teacher and was having a hell of a time getting a job and kind of working this bagel place. So he ends up getting this job. And he notices that the kids at this middle school are really, like, oblivious to things when it comes to sex education. There's no sex education program whatsoever in the entire school. And he kind of goes in there and decides that he wants to help them teach this program. But at the same time, he's, you know, a virgin, has never had any sexual anything, really. So he doesn't really know exactly what he's doing. So it's kind of this kind of weird story of him trying to teach these kids. And also he ends up liking the ones, you know, sisters around his age. The one student, he likes his sister, and he's trying to, like, get with her, but she's got a boyfriend, so it's all these kind of issues with him and her going on, and him trying to teach this program. I thought it was really a pretty fun movie. I always like Haley Joel Osment, and like I said, he's the lead in this movie. It's just a sort of ridiculous kind of movie about him trying to teach sex ed to these kids, but he's also going through all these kind of issues because the one's parents, who's this reverend, doesn't want any of the programs taught in the school, so he's going through all these kind of issues going on with trying to keep the program going and trying to keep his job, and that's essentially what the movie is. The next one from HBO, and this is a Mike Judge film show, which I never saw this one, Judge show. Somehow I missed this on TV. It's, you know, still on now, very popular, but it's, you know, Silicon Valley, the complete second season. You know, has a really good cast in this one. That a lot of people from the one guy who was just in that movie. The Gymnast one movie that just came out, Martin Starr, you know, from Freaks and Geeks, you know, T.J. Miller from, you know, Deadpool, but it's essentially, you know, a show set in Silicon Valley. It's got that pretty much sort of feel of almost like an Office Space type show about these guys working in Silicon Valley, trying to kind of they're kind of doing their own kind of company at the same time they're working for this place, or the one boss has just died, and this is where, you know, the second season picks up with them trying to deal with the new boss and kind of deal with doing that at the same time doing their own thing. But it's a very fun show. Like I said, it's got the same kind of vibe as, you know, Office Space kind of feel. It's almost like a new Office Space kind of thing, except it's not the same kind of stuff like with Office Space, with, you know, him really hating his job and like what he does and stuff like that. But it's almost like, you know, I almost feel like he wanted to do like an Office Space type, you know, he wanted to do a sequel, but this is kind of like the closest thing. And it's actually really, like I said, really good and has a very good cast in this. Has on here, though, deleted scenes and then a making of and a commentary track on it. The next one, I have never seen any of the other ones, and I really just wanted to see this. You know, it has Donnie Yen, and it's Ip Man 3. And I really wanted to see this mainly because, you know, it has Mike Tyson in it. And I also saw a Mike Tyson movie recently called Meet the Blacks, which was a really, really funny movie. But I really wanted to see this, to see him in this, because I know he was doing, you know, Kung Fu and things like that. And he's essentially, though, this guy who wants to basically take over this land. And Donnie Yen's character is pretty much trying to defend him, and he has to deal with fighting off all of the people that work for Mike Tyson's character along the way. That's essentially what it was. Like I said, I had not seen the other films. I really just wanted to see this from Mike Tyson because he's in here doing this fight scene in this, which is really actually pretty cool. And I thought he was actually really cool in this. And it, you know, Donnie Yen too is going to be in the new, you know, Rogue One, the new Star Wars film as well. But it has on here, though, interviews with Donnie Yen, Mike Tyson, a making of, behind the scenes, and trailers. But a really cool, you know, action film. And has on here too. I believe, yeah, it has the English language version and the original Cantonese version on here. The next one, and this is, Doug Wallace sent me a copy of this one. This is not for a while yet, but I'm friends with Doug. You know, it was in his short in theater. I think it was Treasure Chest of Horrors 2. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but the Baby Cakes one. And this is the new movie that he directed called Grooshouse. This is I actually really like this movie. I think it comes out in June. It's, like I said, it's called Grooshouse. It's this guy who lives with his mother. And this is one of these movies that I have this feeling that, you know, years from now could be like a real big, like, underground odd cult hit, because it's got that really weird vibe to this, almost like those shot on video kind of like video violence kind of things. Like, I was really impressed with like just how ridiculous this movie was. But it's the company is putting this out as Worldwide Multimedia, but it's this guy who lives with his mother, and his mother's this prostitute, and the mother's played by this guy in drag, but he's actually playing a woman. But it was just like ridiculous. The guy was from, you know, Tim and Eric, some Tim and Eric episodes, and he's basically this prostitute guy, you know, his mother's a prostitute, killing the people and having the son bury them in the backyard. And the son is doing these real gross things, like putting these real fish, you know, making these weird peanut butter sandwiches, these odd fish along the way. And the mother has like this spell that she can bring back dead people. And it's just this really peculiar, odd thing about their relationship and these odd dream sequences in this. I don't know. I really thought it was weird. It kind of has like, I can't even explain what it is, but it really feels like a movie from like 89, video violence, kind of that kind of feel. They were very successful with that kind of feel. That's what it has on here. Another movie on here, Don't Touch That Dial, a film they did, I believe it was before this, and it has a making of as well on this. The next one is a 4-disc Blu-ray set, and this is really cool. It's you know, I think it's Jörg. I never say his name right, but it's his collection called Murder, Sex, Art, which is, you know, has on here Nekromantik, Todesking, you know, the Death King, Nekromantik 2, and Schramm, which I'm going to do a full review of that one, you know, in my next update. So that'll be up this Saturday. I'm doing a full review of that. But I'm going to show you guys what's in here. It has, you know, essentially, and there's certain things I cannot show inside of the set, so I'm going to have to kind of cover up certain things. But, you know, it has in here, you know, all the movies, but it has on here, the big thing that's on here is soundtrack CDs to, you know, Nekromantik and the Death King, you know, very cool, weird, I really like these movies. These movies are definitely not something for everybody, and has on here Nekromantik 2 and Schramm, like the soundtrack for those ones. And then the other thing it has in here, a booklet, Murder, Sex, Art, you know, and I can show some of the pictures in here, like with interview about these films. And these are really creepy movies. Nekromantik is basically about, you know, them digging up this dead body and them sleeping with this dead person. The second one is this woman who's obsessed with that person that did it in the first one. She digs him up and is sleeping with him, and she's also getting this boyfriend. It's a very, and the thing I love about these movies too is that they have a like really like unfitting music in a way, because it's really beautiful music. Like I love I actually listen to these musics at the gym for some reason. I really like these certain songs, and these are really good. But it's essentially though him going, you know, using this kind of almost unfitting music because it's really beautiful, to these weird sequences of things. The Death King was all talking about death and things like that, and ways people died, and these odd deaths, like jumping off of a bridge, and then they show this body the whole time kind of rotting. I talked more about full reviews of these in the past, but I've always really liked these movies. Like I said, in here it has booklets. I can't show everything in it. There's certain ones I can show, other ones I can't because they're just too gross. Yes, but here's a picture, though, of the director. But these are, you know, like I said, if you guys are interested in this, it's a set of all of them together. And he has a new one coming out, too, that he filmed a segment in called German Angst, which is coming out, I think, on Tuesday or so. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I think it actually came out today. One I'm really interested in watching. The next one I got, and this is actually released on VHS. And I really want to see this because the one actress in this one, she was in, you know, WTF, the movie that I have a part in. This movie's called The Horror. Her name is, you know, Callie Olt. You know, she's in the star of WTF. It's in this movie called The Horror. It's actually pretty cool because it's released, you know, you can watch it digitally, and it's also released on a limited edition VHS. I'm going to put the link, too, if you guys are interested in getting the VHS. I think this is the first time I've watched, like, a new movie, like a shot-on-digital film on VHS, because, you know, they hardly really produce anything at all, except for, like, you know, real, like, boutique kind of limited releases on VHS, and it's usually, like, much older films and things like that, so it's kind of cool to see it. But the movie's basically about these twins whose parents ended up dying, and it's told with the one character kind of in the talking to a therapist, and she's kind of talking back and forth about the problems, because like they go to this. Basically, their parents die, and then they have to go to close down the house that the parents owned. And when they're there, that you're hearing about this kind of attack that happened with these two assailants that are wearing these gas masks. So it's kind of talking about that the whole time. And the one brother after this attack has kind of become kind of crazy and kind of off doing his own thing. No one really knows where he is. The sister is, you know, seeing treatment about this because she's dealing with her parents' death. At the same time, dealing with that happening, trying to get her life back in order. It's kind of cutting back and forth to these weird sequences too of the brother, like he's like digging things, trying to find the masks of the people that robbed the house, and he's kind of like something really off and odd about the guy. I thought it was actually a pretty interesting kind of film. It's not like a straight like horror, like super creepy kind of movie. It's more just creepy, just the whole vibe and the buildup of trying to figure out what exactly everything means in it. The next one from SRS Cinema, and I talked about Goregasm, I believe it was a Gore, yeah, in the last video. But this is Gore Horror, and another one of these strange shot-on-video movies. And you know me, I love those shot-on-video movies. This one was not as cool as Goregasm to me. I didn't think, but this one was actually still pretty cool. And it's basically though about this woman who goes around and like kills people. She's like prostitute and kills people and drinks their blood. And she ended up stealing this kind of like this serum type thing from this you know, from this hospital, or from this guy's like, you know, lab. And this one guy hires this man to, you know, try and track her down and find her, you know, and get the serum back, and also to stop her from what she's doing, because she's going around killing all these people, and she's injecting it in like the weird ways she's injecting this serum. And she's also trying to bring back dead people. It's a really kind of creepy, weird movie. Like I said, it's not as like strange to me as the other film, Goregasm, because that was kind of like a Nekromantik type film, but still was a really cool, weird shot-on-video movie. It also has like a interview with the director talking about it, and he also says he hopes to do another movie, which I really would love to see him do something now. The next one from Hanover House is The Encounter. It's a kind of a creepy movie about these guys, you know, making this thesis film on orbs. You know, the kind of things that you see in pictures and things like that when you take a picture and they go, oh, that's like a haunted thing. You see like that little like circular dot thing on certain photos, and you take pictures like that in like, you know, ships like the Queen Mary and stuff like that. They go, oh, that's like the spirit thing. And they're kind of doing this thesis on this, and they end up going to this house to try and do it. Of course, when they're there, weird things are starting to happen to them. So it's a kind of a creepy haunted house kind of thing about something is sort of trying to stop them while they're trying to make this thesis film, and sort of trying to mess things up and make things like a sort of a nightmare for them. But a pretty cool, creepy kind of film. Like I said, cool cover on this one as well. It has on here, though, a behind-the-scenes featurette on the film. The next one from Severin, it's called That's Sexploitation, and it's a documentary on all the kind of sexploitation films of the, what is it, like the 30s all the way up to the 60s. And you know, I actually thought it was cool. It was actually produced by Something Weird Films, which, you know, I don't think they release stuff anymore. I know they did a lot of stuff, you know. I can't really show too much of this cover because there's a lot of weird kind of images on it somebody might say something about, but it's That's Sexploitation. But it's basically, like I said, it's a documentary on the sexploitation films. Like, it was talking about like the early days when it was kind of very elite, like in the 30s when they didn't have like censorship and things like that on what they could show. And then it kind of talks about throughout when censorship started coming in, when they were kind of making like those nudist films, like those weird ones that Something Weird put out, like with the monster in the woods and stuff, about how they couldn't show certain things at certain times, and then they couldn't show other type of things, and then the censorship would come in and mess things up. And it also has like tons and tons of clips and stuff like that from those movies. It has over 3 hours of sexploitation shorts in the Something Weird archive, so that was pretty cool. And has on here, you know, Frank Hillenletter, you know, who directed the Basket Case films, actually was the director of this one. But like a pretty cool one going through all the eras of stuff like that, even to like pretty much the end of these types of films when it became, you know, more like XXX kind of stuff. It was kind of like, because before this was very kind of tame stuff compared to the things that came out in the 70s. And the last one, I'm just going to show you this one. It's from Comedy Central. It's Daniel Tosh's The People Pleaser, which is, you know, his new stand-up comedy thing. You know, I watch Tosh Porno, you know, every so often because it's kind of, you know, mainly watched it too because Tommy NC 2010 was in one of the episodes when they kind of talked to him about his viral video. But essentially, though, he does stand-up comedy, has done it for years. This is one of his latest stand-up specials. specials. And his kind of humor is kind of like, he kind of tries to go for it with his stuff, you know, kind of shock value kind of stuff with some of his stuff. And, you know his, if you know the show, his kind of sense of humor and his kind of way that he does things. But has on here the broadcast, extended, and uncensored versions of this. And like I said, this is Daniel Tosh, people pleaser. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.